So I've got another quick announcement before starting this video. I've got my music channel set up. There is going to be a link in the description. I've got a new track coming very soon. It might be out by the time this video is released. If by any chance you didn't know I'm a music producer, well, I guess now you know. Now, it's probably not what you were here for, and I totally understand that. I think we're all here for the Pokemon battles, so I'm going to close out this announcement here and say thank you guys for clicking on this video to watch it. And with all that being said, I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to another Iceberg video. Today, we've got another episode of Pokémon Showdown, and it's another free-for-all episode. I really enjoy doing these. If you don't know what these are, basically, a free-for-all battle is 4 players instead of 2, and all 4 players go up against each other. All I'm gonna say from here is, we're going to have a wild ride, aren't we? Alright, first game in, we've got Clawitzer, Groudon, Heracross, and Dunsparce here. I think this is bad for me. I'm going to go for a switch right off the bat, and I'm gonna go to Tornadus here. There's another switch onto Galarian Weezing. Well read with the close combat, but that still did a pretty good amount of damage. And Muddy Water doesn't do a lot. I think Heracross is going to switch out here. So I'm going to charge up with a Nasty Plot. Nobody's switching out. Heracross with a Swords Dance. Toxic Spikes from Weezing. And Dark Pulse goes against Heracross. Doesn't do a lot, and now I'm going to go for a Hurricane. And Hurricane hits, and Heracross is the first one out. Toxic Spikes all over the field here, and that puts Zygarde in trouble. It's going to put a lot of others in trouble. I'm going to go for another Hurricane. That's only 37% accuracy, I just realized that. Heat Wave is only 67. Wait. I'm thinking about switching out, but the other flying type I have is Ho-Oh. That's not gonna work, because Clawitzer's here. I'm just gonna go for a Heat Wave. It does hit everyone, and Weezing down to the yellow recovers onto the green. 1,000 Arrows does a decent amount. And Tornadus onto the green. Clear Smog doesn't do a whole lot, but it does remove the accuracy hindrance, though. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a risk here. Hurricane against Clawitzer. It hits, and it does a decent amount, and Confusion as well. Zygarde with a Dragon Dance. Pain Split doesn't do a whole lot. Muddy Water puts Tornadus down to the red and lowers accuracy again. I was not intending on using Nasty Plot. I'm gonna use... Well, 1,000 Arrows is a double KO here. Takes down Weezing and Tornadus, and Ice Beam takes down Zygarde. And on top of that, Clawitzer is still here. I just realized we could go for Duraludon. Carbink and Thundurus also heading out. And I'm gonna go for a Body Press against Carbink. Volt Switch will be enough to take down Clawitzer. Meanwhile, Thundurus has to switch out here and goes onto Uxie. And Body Press does a decent amount. Stealth Rock in response. Aerodactyl is the next one heading out. I'm going to go for a Snarl to make things interesting here. There's a Dragon Dance by Aerodactyl, another Stealth Rock, and Snarl doesn't do a whole lot. I'm going to go for a Flash Cannon, and this is most certainly going to take down Carbink. Earthquake does a pretty good amount. Carbink down to the yellow. There's a Thunder Wave. It misses Carbink, and Flash Cannon will take Carbink down. Tempest Love down to 3. Everyone else still at 5, and Toxtricity is heading out. I'm going to go for a Draco Meteor against Aerodactyl. Rock Slide goes and does a pretty good amount. Aerodactyl down to the yellow, missed another Thunder Wave, and Draco Meteor takes down Aerodactyl. And there's a Shift Gear from Toxtricity, and the next Pokemon heading out is Cryogonal. For that one, I'm going to go for a Flash Cannon. Sludge Bomb goes quickly against Uxie, recovers onto the green. There's an Icy Wind. I knew someone was going to recover onto the green there, but a Psychic puts Toxtricity down to the red, and a Flash Cannon doesn't do a lot, and I think it's because Duraludon is at 5x special attack. Because of that, I'm going to switch out. This could end up being very costly, though. I didn't realize the Stealth Rock here. An Ice Beam, Ho-Oh down to the yellow. Thunder Wave goes against Cryogonal. I'm going to go for a Sacred Fire, and I'm going to go against Uxie here if we can. Uxie down to the red, so is Ho-Oh, and Sacred Fire will take Uxie down. Haze in response resets all the stats. I don't know if that's a good thing for me. Thundurus heading back out, and I'm going to go for a Roost if we can here. I think Toxtricity, well, could have gone first, but Thundurus lands the Volt Switch, goes on to Groudon, Toxtricity eliminated. The Roost is able to pan out, and the Icy Wind, not very effective on Ho-Oh, but it does lower speed. Now I think is my cue to switch out. Or I could go for a Sacred Fire against Cryogonal. There's a switch back onto Thundurus. Liquidation, super effective, and Ho-Oh is out. Icy Wind puts Thundurus down to the yellow. Lowers speed even more. I'll go back to Duraludon. So I'm going to go for a Flash Cannon against Cryogonal here. And Cryogonal deep in the red. Volt Switch, super effective against Kingler. Thundurus switches onto Aurorus here. And Icy Wind in response does a decent amount against Duraludon. Lowers speed even more though, and Claydol is heading out. Last Pokemon for Tempest Love. And I'm going to go for a Body Press, and I'm going to be a bit cruel here. That's going against Aurorus. Max Quake puts Aurorus down into the red, recovers onto the yellow, Body Press hits, and Aurorus is out. Icy Wind doesn't do enough to take down Duraludon, but lowers speed even more. And eventually Duraludon is taken down, and that's because of the hail here. Now, I'm gonna go for... there aren't really any good options. I'm gonna go for Gallade. And Thundurus down to 1%. You've got to be kidding me. I'm going to go for a Dynamax, and I'm going to take down Tempest Love once and for all here. And there's a Volt Switch. Doesn't do a lot against Gallade. And Thundurus is going to switch out. Could be onto Groudon again. It is onto Comfy instead. And the Max Darkness goes against Claydol. I didn't realize Claydol was Dynamaxed as well. But anyway, Max Quake doesn't do a whole lot against Gallade. And Cryogonal goes for a Recover. So a lot of progress lost here. I'm just going to go for a Max Knuckle against Cryogonal. Claydol with a Max Guard. Draining Kiss does a pretty solid amount. And Max Knuckle, will it be enough? It will be enough to take down Cryogonal. Groudon heading out. And Claydol out of the Dynamax. So I'm going to go for a Max Darkness if we can. There's a Helping Hand by Comfy. Lands the Max Darkness, and Claydol is out. So Gallade in the red. Heat Crash to go against Comfy. Recovers onto the green. Eventually Gallade is eliminated. We're going to go on to Dunsparce here. The Toxic is a bit of a hindrance on us, but it is helping PK here. So I'm going to go for a Glare against PK and against Comfy. And there's a Draining Kiss, and Precipice Blades doesn't do a whole lot. The Glare will paralyze Comfy. And Groudon recovers onto the green. I'm going to go for a Headbutt against Comfy now. Draining Kiss is a critical hit. Groudon down to the red. Goes for a Rock Polish. Headbutt doesn't do a whole lot, but Groudon is eventually eliminated. Dunsparce recovers onto the green. Mienshao is heading out. I'm just going to go for a Protect here. Fake Out. It's a decent call against Comfy. Calls the flinch as well. And I'm going to go for a Rock Slide now. This is probably going to hurt Comfy a bit more. Close Combat, that's a KO and a critical hit as well. So I'm down to 1. Terrakion is the last one heading out. And I'm going to go for a Swords Dance. And Comfy paralyzed here. Knockoff doesn't do a whole lot. And you know what? I'm going to Swords Dance again. Knockoff will knock away the Citrus Berry, but the attack goes up even higher here. I really want this to be a double KO, but I don't think it's going to be. I'm just going to go for a Protect and see what happens here. That is well blocked with the Draining Kiss. Close Combat doesn't do a whole lot. The Toxic is really hurting us, though. Can we get a double KO on this one? No, we cannot! The Draining Kiss lands this time! And Terrakion is eliminated. It's between Poké and PK here. And Poké 20's down to his last one, Ferrothorn. And that's going to be a big one against Comfy. Draining Kiss does not do a lot. Iron Barbs and Ferrothorn responds with a Body Press. That doesn't do enough. Comfy is still in it. And a Body Press again, and now Comfy is out. And Thundurus out as well. It's a 1v1. It's Groudon. Who is going to win this one? Groudon with the Dynamax. A Max Flare, that's going to wrap it up. And PK wins it. Gonna get a little snack break, and then we move right on to the next one. Tempest Glove is back. So we've got Stakataka, Armaldo, Cloudster, and Spiritomb. So I'm going to start off with a Rock Slide here. There is going to be a switch here onto Arcanine. And there's a Sucker Punch as well. Dark Pulse, Stakataka already down to the yellow. Rock Slide is the only move I could use as well. I'm just going to go for it this time. Close Combat goes against Cloudster. That could prove to be costly. Never mind. Dark Pulse takes down Stakataka. First KO of the game. Arcanine recovers onto the green. And Cloudster down to the red. And Stoutland is heading up next. This moveset isn't really that good. I'm going to go for a Facade against Arcanine. And they go back to Armaldo here. Absol also heading out. Spiritomb with a Protect as well. It is a critical hit, though, against Armaldo. That's good. I'm going to go for a Superpower against Absol. That's a one-hit KO. And Absol is out. X-Scissor also intended for Absol, and Snarl doesn't do a whole lot, but it does lower special attack. Aggron up next, and I'm going to go for a Thunder Wave against Spiritomb this time. Tangrowth heading out, and Thunder Wave misses him. Body Press as well to take down Stoutland, and X-Scissor puts Tangrowth down to the red, but recovers onto the yellow. This seems like a pretty solid roster. Golisopod is up next here, and I'm going to go for a First Impression on Tangrowth. There's a switch onto Arcanine with the Intimidate. First Impression hits. Tangrowth still in it. Body Press is a decent amount. Power Whip also intended for Arcanine. It missed anyway, but I don't think that was the right call. I'm going to go for a Liquidation against Aggron here. There's a Rage Powder on Tangrowth, so Head Smash will take Tangrowth down. Liquidation still hits against Aggron and doesn't do as much as I would have hoped. Defense is a bit lower though, so we can keep that in mind. Ditto heading out, transforming onto Arcanine. So I'm going to go for another Liquidation, and I'm going to go for the real Arcanine. Well played on the switch, or is it? Close Combat does a pretty solid amount against Armaldo. Head Smash, solid amount against Golisopod. I thought that was going to be a one-hit KO, but Armaldo is out via the Liquidation, and Arcanine heads back on. So I'm going to go for another Liquidation, and I'm going to go against Aggron again. Close Combat, that's a KO, and Aggron is out. So, wow, we all teamed up against Aggron as well. Braviary is up next, and I think that's going to be my cue to switch out. We're going to go on to Regieleki. So, Close Combat goes against Arcanine. Arcanine with a Flare Blitz against Braviary. Recovers onto the green. Arcanine down to the yellow. And Brave Bird takes the real Arcanine down. That is a solid play by Braviary right there. Rhyperier's heading out. That's going to be really bad on me, but you know what? I'm going to go for a Thunder Cage anyway. There is a switch onto Spiritomb. Thunder Cage is a critical hit against Braviary. And Rock Slide, more of an intention for Arcanine, so well read there. Vikavolt now heading out. I'm going to switch out here. And I'm going to switch to Regidrago. So there's another switch onto Moltres. And Rock Slide's super effective against Moltres. And Spiritomb goes for a Snarl. And lowers special attack for everyone else. I do have some physical attacks though. I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw against Spiritomb. We'll see how well that does. Spiritomb goes for a Protect. Of course he does. Fiery Wrath, though, doesn't do a lot. But it does cause a flinch for Rhyperior. And Dragon Claw is the only move I could use. Who do I use it on? I'm going to go for Moltres this time. Down to 4%. Goes Berserk and recovers onto the yellow. Hurricane hits and puts Spiritomb down to the yellow and the confusion as well. A critical hit against Moltres on the Rock Slide. Tempest Love down to 2. Regidrago out as well. I'm down to 3 and the other 2 are still at 4. I'm going to go for Golisopod now. Cloudix are also heading back out. And I'm going to go for a Liquidation against Rhyperior. Hopefully Rhyperior doesn't go first, and he goes for a Protect. And so does Spiritomb. Muddy Water doesn't do a whole lot, but Golisopod has to switch out here. I'm going to go on to Mesprit. I'm going to go for a Psychic against Rhyperior. Sucker Punch, super effective, recovers onto the green. Psychic does a pretty solid amount. Rhyperior also recovers onto the green, and that's a double KO on the Muddy Water to take down Rhyperior and Spiritomb. Pikachu heading out, and Hitmonlee is heading out as well. So I'm going to go for a Psychic against Hitmonlee here. Anything and everything could happen. Hitmonlee goes for a Protect. Fake Out will be enough to take down Cloudix here. And Vikavolt is heading on. I'm going to go for another Psychic against Hitmonlee. There's a Dynamax by Vikavolt. Knockoff doesn't do a whole lot, but knocks off the Citrus Berry. And speaking of which... Wait, Mesprit's still in it. I didn't notice that. Max Lightning, well played with the Lightning Rod. My Psychic missed Hitmonlee. Long story short, I'm in big trouble. I'm just going to go for another Psychic against Pikachu this time if we can, and we cannot. Knockoff takes down Mesprit. Rock Slide misses Vikavolt. Max Lightning. Why would he go for another Max Lightning against P? We're just going to go on to Regieleki here. I'm going to go for an Extreme Speed against Hitmonlee. Well read on the Protect, and Grass Knot takes down Regieleki. Vikavolt was going for a Max Overgrowth as well. Golisopod is the last one heading out. Vikavolt runs out on the Dynamax. I'm going to go for a Liquidation against Hitmonlee here. Volt Tackle will be enough to take down Golisopod. That is it for me. Close Combat takes down Pikachu. And Vikavolt fails on the Thunderbolts. Tornadus now heading out. Nasty plot for Tornadus, and a Rock Slide does a decent amount against both of them. Thunderbolt will take down Tornadus. Virizion is now heading out. Last Pokemon for Mix 1. Meanwhile, Frank 12 is still at 4 Pokemon. Yeah, I think he's winning this one. Hitmonlee with a Protect. Swords Dance for Virizion. Thunderbolt is blocked by Hitmonlee. Virizion on the Dynamax. Knockoff doesn't do anything. Just Divide could be costly though. Max Rockfall takes down Vikavolt. That is it for Tempest Love. Can Virizion possibly make a comeback here? Hitmonlee on the Protect. Max Knuckle still did a pretty good amount for the fact that Hitmonlee used a Protect and stuff. Close Combat in response is a critical hit. And Virizion down to the yellow. Max Knuckle should take down Hitmonlee, and it does. But there's still a lot more that needs to be done for Virizion. The imposter play by Ditto, and on top of that, Virizion runs out on the Dynamax. Ditto's going to make him pay right there. Close Combat. Wait a minute! That just ended up being a one-hit KO on the Dynamax. I think we might have a game now. Arctozolt now heading out. Frank just said in the comments that he's lost this one. The 3.5 times attack, I'll be honest, I was aware of it the first time. I wasn't aware of it the second time. Mixed One's got 30 seconds to reconnect though. I don't think he's going to reconnect here. Okay, so one more episode to go. Wait. Okay, so one more battle to go in this episode. I'm pretty confident with what I've got right now, and I'm gonna go for a close combat. You know what? I'm not gonna go for anything special. I'm just gonna protect and see what the others are up to. Phalanx and Sandslash might have an advantage against me. Gastrodon as well. Phalanx with a no retreat increases all stats, but he cannot escape. So I'm gonna go for a crunch against... You know what? I'm just gonna switch out. And I'm gonna go on to Hitmonchan. I think someone else is going to switch as well. Close Combat goes against Hitmonchan, and it's a one-hit KO. That is a big play by Phalanx. First KO as well. Scald puts Sandslash down to the yellow. Close Combat would 100% have been a one-hit KO against Zamazenta. I don't really care about the 1.5 times defense. I don't think that would have done enough to stop it. Now Sableye is up next, and I'm gonna go for a foul play against Gastrodon. Throat Chop to go against Sableye here, and Drill Run does a lot against Gastrodon, but recovers onto the green, and foul play puts Gastrodon down into the yellow. An Icy Wind is meant to lower speed more than it is to deal damage, but Phalanx at 2.5 times attack, we gotta be aware of that. I'm gonna go for a Will-O-Wisp against Phalanx here. That's going to make it interesting. I think. There is going to be a switch here as Rotom Wash is now heading out. Will-O-Wisp misses Phalanx. Throat Chop does a lot once again, but Rotom able to recover onto the green. So I'm going to go for a foul play, and I'm going to go against... I'll go against Rotom. Rotom goes for a Protect, and Throat Chop is a critical hit against Sableye. Drill Run was also intended for me. I'm going to go on to Klefki here. Dazzling Gleam is going to be the call. I think it's going to be enough against Phalanx, but we'll see what happens here. Unknown201 says, no Will-O-Wisp, please. Jaden just said useless keys. They're going to gang up against me, are they? Hydro Pump does enough to take down Phalanx. Drill Run! Yeah, Jaden's mad. Jaden's mad at me right now. On top of that, Jaden still has all 6 Pokemon. Virizion and Heliolisk heading out. I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice. Rotom with a Protect. Hyper Voice, is it going to do enough? It will be enough to take down Sandslash here. And Leaf Blade, well blocked. Grappaloct is going to be up next. And I think that's bad for me. I'm going to go for a Protect. Because I think Grappaloct is going for me. Yo-Yo-Whisk on the Protect. Leaf Blade should be enough, and it does take down Rotom. Grappaloct goes for the Coaching against Virizion. That is an interesting call. Rapidash is up next. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt against Grappaloct. I think Rapidash is going to go for Virizion here. Virizion with a Protect. Thunderbolt does a solid amount against Grappaloct. Recovers onto the green. Flare Blitz well blocked. And Coaching once again to go against Virizion. I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt. And this time it's going against Rapidash. Thunderbolt does a pretty solid amount against Rapidash. Recovers onto the green. Flare Blitz doesn't do enough against Virizion. Recovers onto the green. And Close Combat takes down Rapidash here. And Grappaloct also aiming for Rapidash, but that doesn't pan out. And Xerneas is up next. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt against Grappaloct. And Grappaloct down to the red. Leaf Blade does a solid amount against Xerneas. Geomancy in response. And Coaching to once again go against Virizion. There's not really much I can do against Virizion right now. Grappaloct goes for a Protect. Dazzling Gleam should be good. It is good. It takes down Virizion. Heliolisk down to the yellow. Hyper Voice puts Xerneas down to the red. Eventually Heliolisk is also down to the red. And Magiarna's heading out. So I'm going to go for another Thunderbolt here. This time against Magiarna. I don't think I pronounced it right. Is it Magiarna or Magirna? Focus Blast. Magirna down to yellow, recovers onto the green, and now down to the red because of the Thunderbolt. Flash Cannon takes down Xerneas as well. And you might not have noticed that Grappaloct was switched out for Nihilego. You probably did notice that, but when there's so much going on in free-for-all battles like these especially, you can clearly tell it's not very easy to commentate. But it's still a lot of fun. Tyranitar now heading out, and I'm going to go for a Grass Knot. And I'm going to be extra cruel here. Tyranitar down to the yellow, recovers onto the green. I thought it was going to do a bit more. Heliolisk eventually eliminated. There's another Grass Knot. And Rock Slide misses Magiarna, and Nihilego not really affected too much by it. So I'm going to go for Zamazenta now. I think now is a very solid time to unleash him. And I'm going to go for a Behemoth Bash against Nihilego. Tyranitar with a Protect. Aurasphere well blocked. Behemoth Bash takes down Nihilego. Now I'm starting to get myself back into this game, possibly. Waiting on Jaden. I think he's going to go back to grapple locked here. We might have an AFK in this battle. Jaden is now out because of inactivity. And that could help me a lot. I'm just going to go for Protect here. Protect goes. Dazzling Gleam should be enough, and it is enough to take down Tyranitar. They could go back to Gastrodon, and they do. So I'm going to go for a close combat to take down Gastrodon, or maybe that wasn't the right option. There's another Dazzling Gleam, and Hindbrain down to 1. Maybe going for Magearna was the better option. So Dracozolt has to head back out. So this time I'm going to go for a Crunch against Magearna. That should be enough. Dracozolt going for the Dynamax. Dazzling Gleam puts Zamazenta and Dracozolt down to the yellow, but Magearna is taken down. Tauros is up next. Close combat is what I'm going to go for. Tauros with a Protect, though. So it's up to Dracozolt on this one. Max Wormwind doesn't do a whole lot, but it lowers my attack here as well. So yeah, that isn't very helpful. They go for a switch onto Suicune. And close combat doesn't really do a whole lot. Max Wormwind puts Suicune down to the yellow, but recovers onto the green. And you know what? I'm going to switch out. Eternatus is heading on. And Scald doesn't do a whole lot. Bolt Beak, that will be enough to take down Suicune. And Tauros heads back out. I'm going to go for a Dynamax Cannon against Tauros if we can. Body Slam. Eternatus eventually recovers onto the green, though. Dynamax Cannon puts Tauros down to the yellow, eventually taken down by the Bolt Beak. Looking good for a comeback here. Colossal is the last Pokemon heading out for Unknown 201. And I'm going to charge up with a Cosmic Power. And Bolt Beak misses Colossal. Stone Edge doesn't really do a whole lot against Eternatus. I'm going to go for another Dynamax Cannon. Does a pretty good amount against Colossal. There's a Bolt Beak to put Colossal into the red. Recovers onto the yellow. Misses a Stone Edge, though, against Eternatus. I'm going to go for another Dynamax Cannon. Unknown says you're going to let Eternatus buff to win. Possibly. Bolt Beak misses again. Stone Edge, once again, doesn't do enough against Eternatus. Gonna go for another Dynamax Cannon. Colossal goes for a Protect. Dynamax Cannon is blocked. We're really teaming up against Unknown at this point. You see, here's the thing. I could easily go for a Dynamax Cannon against Dracozolt, but Colossal... You know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try the Dynamax Cannon against Dracozolt this time. That could prove to be costly, but I'm going to do it. And Colossal hit 2% though against Eternatus. And you know what? I'm going to go for a recovery. And Fire Blast doesn't do a whole lot. And Colossal decides to forfeit. And I guess that's how you complete a comeback. The moment when I've hit recover was probably the exact moment Unknown found out he had no chance against me. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed, feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to you in the next video.